cover my head because I'm fucking bald.
Yeah. You get smoked with that. All right, so you're going to be looking this way.
Thank you. I got these ones as well, I think.
They're great.
So simple. You know the best part of it? I bought it from that place in Cannon Place. It's called Value and Variety or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, they're the best.
And
every time
it was like 50 CI. And I looked up online, like 15 US.
Right. So these ones I got, let me make sure, into this. Oh yeah, you're in. I got these, I bought them online as well. They were on Amazon, they were like, I think they were like 120 bucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Which,
Still pretty good.
and these ones with the little, like the little wind barriers and stuff like that, they create a really nice sound, which is kind of cool. I also have LaCroix. Do you want a LaCroix?
Good answer, buddy. Thank you.
I'm a liquid carrier, so. So you're Corgi.
Alfie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where did you get him from?
Bratislava. So I went to Slovakia for Christmas. And before that, basically last year on Facebook, there was a post came up about, these dogs and these puppies are available to buy and purchase.
Right.
And like they were so cute, like corgi puppies, and seeing them, and so clicked on the link and it's like, it's this number and everything. So we sent like a message. So interested in seeing the puppies. And anyhow, this person was like, great, wonderful, you know, all you've got to do to secure the puppy is send $200 and then we'll sort of like, no, we'd like to come and see them first. And it's like, no, to see them you have to secure. And anyhow, it turned out to be like a
scam.
A scam.
Of course.
But anyhow, just inceptualizing the mind about corgis.
Yeah.
So I started looking up about them more and more, and obviously they're the Queen's dog. And then it just came this like fascination. They were like smart, they're cute, they're travel size, you know, they're energetic. And so then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to maybe look into getting them. So over Christmas I looked into bits and pieces. And, and then basically there was an opportunity to go and view some in Bratislava when I was over there. And I walked in and like, we're just going to see them. Like nothing definitive, nothing like that. And like, as soon as we seen Alfie, that was it.
That was game over.
It was done. That was it. Done and dusted.
So how big is he?
He was like this size before. He was like, I could literally fit him on my lap when I drive.
So did he have to do is he doing like a 3-month quarantine?
No. Basically, it's the different ways of travel all the way from Prague to get to London, to get to Cayman. And didn't really want to put him through too much stress of being locked up in, you know, cargo all that time. So I think what's going to happen is going to go over to Prague, drive to London, and then put him on a flight from, hopefully anyway, that's the plan. So yeah, it'll be good to get him here.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stuff with animals and stuff though, don't you? Well,
okay.
So
let's rephrase that.
I was gonna say, so I'll introduce you first as well, but we are recording. But so one of the main reasons that I wanted to talk to you. So this is Ronnie. He runs the academy in Grand Cayman, which is
where we are.
Martial arts. What's that?
It's where we are.
Yeah. One of the funniest things that I read that you've put up, it's on, I believe it's on your Instagram, it's on your Facebook, it's on your LinkedIn profile, and I actually think it's on your IMDb as well, is I love animals more than human beings.
Yeah, true. I think that goes for a lot of people, though, to be honest.
Listen, pal.
Do you know what I think it is the most? I think it's the complication of adults and the expectations and the dynamics.
Right.
You know, with animals, they don't give a crap. They're like, throw me the ball, yeah, let's go, do it again.
Right.
You know, they're like, I would say, they're like love on legs.
Yeah. And
That's it.
So
your two are beautiful, by the way. They're so cute.
They're so funny, man. They've got, so those two, we used to have a little miniature dachshund, and she wasn't ours. It's a complicated story, but her mom sometimes struggled to look after her. So she was like, do you think that you guys can take her for a while? So we did. So we had joint custody of this dog, which was hilarious. So we would have her for the week, and then her mom would have her on the weekends.
Yeah.
So we grew really attached to her, and then she left and took the dog to Florida with her. So Joe and I had always said, we were like, oh, we really like to get another one, but to buy one of them, they're like $5,000.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And I didn't really want to support a breeding program either. And Joe's always wanted a hairless cat. And we've always wanted dachshunds.
So now we've got like the best of both worlds.
We got like a hybrid.
It's like an amalgamation of like cat and a dog into like one little hybrid.
And now we have 2 of them, which is even wilder. So there was a lady.
They're both rescues from here. Yeah.
So there was a lady that was one dog at a time, put them up. And so you've seen them now. They're black.
Yeah.
They were pink. They were like pink and like malnourished. Like you could see their ribs.
Yeah.
Like they had skin conditions. It was.
Well, that's incredible because they're like tiny as it is, you know.
So when we got Einstein, the smaller one, she was like 4 pounds. And she's 4 years old. So we think that she just wasn't getting fed. They weren't getting any sunlight. Their diet wasn't great. So we think that it literally just stunted her growth, because since we've got her, she's almost doubled in size. Like there's a picture of her. She fit almost in my hand. And now they're wild. Now they have like tan lines from their little bikinis that they wear, which is hilarious. Like they have rash guards that they go to daycare in.
They're doggy daycare, yeah?
Yeah. Like K9 here, like shout out to those guys, Martin at K9 and Brad. Like those guys are.
They've got one over at Harbour Walk near where I live.
I'm sure when Alfie gets here, I'm sure that you'll probably take him there as well.
Oh, well, he lives below. Well, literally the shop's below us. So.
Right. So, I mean, like these guys, they've got the taxi that'll come and pick him up and drop him off. But then, like, they have to put sunscreen on the dogs as well, which is hilarious. But they'll give them medication. They've got, like, presidential suites for the dogs if you want them to stay overnight. All air conditioned with cameras in them so you can, like, monitor your dog. They've got, like, the best beds and everything else.
Oh, dude, Fairbo is the best thing ever. It's a camera that basically rotates and keeps an eye on your animal.
Like tracks them?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It can even listen. You can push a button on your phone with the app, and it throws it treats. Fucking brilliant, honestly.
Might have to get one.
I'm not even a dog, and I want one.
They'll just attack it, I think.
Well, you put it up and out the way.
Yeah. Because if you put it down below, they would just attack it and just rip the treats out of it.
Yeah, it's I can keep an eye on Alfie like 24/7. Just push the button, comes up.
I love it.
If he's not doing anything, it records him like if he's doing different stuff during the day as well.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. But yes, to answer your question, I generally tend to favour animals more than humans based on the fact that there's no complications with animals.
There isn't. And so you also, I've been, ever since when I stopped drinking, people have heard my story I think 1,000 times, but when I stopped drinking, one of the things was I wanted to get into really good shape. So when I was drinking, I was 198 pounds.
Jesus.
I'm 5'4".
You're wider than we're taller.
Yeah, literally. Like I was like everything. I remember I went away for 8 months and I picked up 42 pounds. And I was so excited because I came home and I was like, I left all of these clothes at home that I'm going to be able to wear that I haven't worn in 8 months. And I remember standing up and I pulled this pair of board shorts on and they didn't go past my knees. That's how fat I'd got. And I was like, okay.
Was it just through drink?
Yeah, it was just boozing. But like you've never been a big boozer. Well,
I was when I was in the military, but that's more of I joined when I was like 17.
Right.
So you're still kind of discovering who you are, and you're influenced a lot by people around you. So the culture in the military is,
right.
You go away for a few weeks, you pull alongside, you pull your pins, as we used to say. But I think I never did it because I enjoyed it. I think it was more the fact of it's like escapism.
Yeah.
That's what I found at the time anyway. And even now, like, I don't drink beer, very rarely drink wine or anything like that. I'm mainly just like a nice tequila with like maybe a mix of something. That's
everyone that I've spoken to so far is like that we're in, I guess, this stage of our lives, like all that I drink is tequila. If I have a beer now, it's actually when we go fishing every year in June up in Cape Cod, it's my favorite thing ever to have a beer after 8 hours on the water, but it's cold out. I find that drinking beer here is too hard because it's so hot that the beer that I'm sitting, like if we sit here now, it would be warm in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I need to drink it faster because it only tastes good when it's cold.
Well, that's interesting. I don't like something too cold, so I have sensitive teeth also. Everyone's different in regard.
Yeah, I've never had that problem. If a beer was like, Rackham's used to have the coldest beer. I'm salivating just thinking about it, but they used to have the coldest beer that it would be like slushy. Yeah, be like slushy when you take a sip. It was my favorite thing ever. But then when I stopped, I started getting, I wasn't sleeping, and then I wanted to get into really good shape, so I figured if I started exercising, I would sleep better. So I started exercising with Chris at CrossFit. Yeah. And that was, I mean, your paths and mine have crossed over the years. I mean,
it's a small place.
Yeah. I mean, I've been here almost 13 years, and you've been here what?
15.
15, yeah. So I mean, over the years, we've definitely crossed paths. But only then did our paths cross more and more.
When you work in those certain environments, it's inevitable, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you were right next door as well, so I'd go and get some juices from Green to Go, and I would run into you and vice versa. But I remember all that I wanted to do, I wanted to get really strong first at CrossFit, and then come to the gym with you. And I did. I got really strong, and then I came to the academy, and I was doing Jiu-Jitsu. But like, I'm clearly prone to injury, but I'm also prone to pride. And if you ever want to be really humbled, I mean, it's been a long time since I think you've been able to be humbled by anyone.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. I get humbled by 5-year-olds.
Well, that's fair. But like, I think maybe physically, like, I think for anyone that thinks that they know how to fight, number one, or how to defend themselves because they've seen something in a movie, you are so wrong in so many ways. Because...
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. But I got into that gym, and I remember doing shrimps for the first time, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then the more that I started going to classes and rolling and everything else, and I was like, oh, that one little move.
You use that more than anything else.
Anything else. And I remember doing them like in our gis. And I was like, this is so dumb, this is so dumb. But after doing them around the mats like 4 or 5 times, you were fucking exhausted as well. But then exactly that, when I started rolling with the other guys, and I started realizing that once you were, like, someone was on top of you and you were able to like shrimp your way out of it.
It's like the wax on, wax off, isn't it, from Mr. Miyagi? You're like, why am I doing this? And then you're like...
And then it sort of clicked. Yeah. But the problem with me was that my pride got in the way from the point of view that I never wanted to tap. And...
Well, no one wants to tap.
No one wants to tap. But I also thought that I was stronger and I knew more than what I thought I knew. And every time that I was in that gym, I was just getting manhandled. And manhandled by people that were, some of them were bigger than me. I mean, Carl is just a solid individual. But what's his name? Little Adam. Like, he's no bigger than me. But he just tossed me around like a rag doll. And I remember thinking then, I was just like, you have no fucking idea what you're doing. And if anyone ever wanted to injure you or assault you or hurt someone that you love, you would have no idea what you were doing. And it made me want to do more and more and more and more. Unfortunately, I just kept getting injured every time.
I think one of the biggest issues is that when you do something from a place of fear and kind of pressure,
right,
I don't think it's sustainable. Like, when you do something from the aspect is that I need to do this because otherwise I'm going to get hurt.
Right.
You're doing it from a place of, if I don't do this, it's going to happen. So that's like living in fear rather than living in, joy and pleasure.
Right.
So obviously when you first start, it's an overwhelm. It's kind of like, the fuck am I doing here? why am I doing this? But I always say, if you can find pleasure in a good experience, in a good environment, with good people, you'll keep coming back.
Right.
And that's how you get better. Right. So it's far more to do with being consistent than intense.
Right.
But the thing is, we want to get good at stuff quick. And it's like we don't give ourselves that time to be understanding, which is why with the kids, the biggest thing with the younger, like the 3 to 6-year-olds, they don't realize they're doing jiu-jitsu. They're just playing games that, I'll grab his leg, take him down. It's like, obviously, when they get a little bit older, 7 through to 10, you incorporate bits. But I remember being a kid, and I boxed since the age of like 4 years old. My grandfather and my father put me into it. And at first, it was fun. The first couple of years, you go and you play, and you enjoy it because. But as soon as I got to like, I was 11, 12, and then there's the pressure and the social expectation of, oh, you have to fight, and you're representing this and everything. And people start living precariously through you.
Right.
It's like, well, I didn't make it, so I'm going to make this kid do it and everything like that. And so that takes the joy out of it, which is something I think by the time I was like 24, I'd boxed for like 17, 18 years at that point. I was just 29 I wasn't. And I just went, I remember I won my last fight. I was 29 years old. I remember winning and just went, I never want to do this again. I'd done it by that point like 70 odd times.
It's funny because that was me when I was playing so much tennis. It was very similar. I think that my folks, they never pushed me, but I think to a certain extent there was an expectation I think there was more of an expectation of they'd spent all of this money to have like this child prodigy.
But was it something that you wanted to do?
So I loved it.
Yeah. Until
I started getting beaten. So that was a huge wake up call for me. Do you remember Andrew Cuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So him and I have this running joke because he's not much bigger than I am, and we both used to play tennis professionally for our countries until we were about 14. And we always said to each other, if we were 6'4", we would have been professional athletes. And I firmly believe that if I was 6'4" and 220, number one, I think I'd be a bit of an asshole. Or I actually don't think so. I think I'd go the opposite way. I think I'd be like the biggest teddy bear alive because I would know that I'm this big, and I think I would have used it to my advantage, but in a nice way, to help people my size. I think it's why I've always gravitated.
If you didn't have the context or the view from where you are, you wouldn't know any different. So like we say, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. But like I look at
we still beat ourselves up over things.
Bananas. Like, there's a cool saying, comparison is the thief of all joy.
Did you find, because you obviously, it's a competitive aspect, when you're a kid, you're just playing.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about anything. The same like with boxing. I never liked the competing part of it. I don't know why. I won, I had 72 fights and I think I lost 12 or something like that over the space of 20 years.
So I've never... you're absolutely right. I loved being coached. That was fun because I was learning. I loved just playing with my mom. My mom's a great tennis player. We used to play all the time. My dad as well. And as a family, we used to go to the tennis club, which is so funny because it kind of makes us sound like a bougie family. But the tennis club was for broke people. Back then, it was the only thing that we could afford to go and do. If you went to the Italian club, now that was a different story. Then you were playing lawn bowls and croquet kind of thing. But we always went as a family. And then as soon as I started playing tournaments, my sister stopped immediately. She was also really good, but she stopped playing tennis immediately after that. The first tournament that she played, she was out. I carried on for probably 4 or 5 years. And then when all of the kids hit their growth spurt and they started to be 6 foot tall and they were 15, 16 years old and they were serving at 150 miles an hour and I couldn't, I had to adapt and I had to be really fast. But I would just, same thing with the jiu-jitsu. I was fighting against a guy that was 240 and I was 140 and he had the reach and the strength and everything else. And I I had to think. So I had to try and outsmart them. Didn't really ever happen. So I just started losing, and I was just like, it took all of the fun out of it. And I remember the day sitting in traffic with my dad, and I was driving. He was taking me to a tournament, and it was like 5:30 in the morning. It was dark. It was fucking freezing. And I remember sitting there, and I wasn't saying a word, and he looked at me and he went, "What's going on with you?" And I was like, "I just don't want to do this anymore." And he was so mad. And I don't hold it against him at all. Like, he spent a lot of money and time. Like, they gave up all of their weekends, all of their weekdays to drive me to places, to academies and everything like that to go and get all of this training. And I just looked at them as a 15-year-old kid and just went, I don't want to do this anymore. If they had forced me to carry on, would I have been a pro on the circuit? No. Would I have made money doing it? No. Would I have been miserable? Absolutely.
That's the thing about it, is a lot of the times you'll do something because it's expected to, keep the peace. But the reality is you don't keep the peace, you keep the tension.
Right.
But that's, for me it was different because it was a heritage thing, family thing.
Right.
Father did it, grandfather did it. But then it became about, you need to be tough because the world's going to, there's people out there going to kick your ass, and you got to be ready. And you realize after a little while that people are just putting their fears on you, and people around you that like in the pubs drinking and smoking, and they're offering all this advice about, you need to do this and do this, and you're like, you're not the fucker getting in there. And without, obviously any competition aspect is going to have pressure.
Right.
But imagine being like 12, 13 years old, and every 2 weeks, you know that in that evening, even when you're at school, you're going to be fighting another kid in front of like about 200 people with the potential to get your ass kicked.
Right.
So imagine how anxiety inducing that is, and how do you concentrate on your schoolwork?
Right.
It's a different era then and whatnot. And there was parts of it that I enjoyed. Like, it definitely gave me the formula for, if you're going to succeed, it's on you. Like, there's no team where someone's picking the slack up for you. It's you. That's it. If you haven't put the yards in, or if you haven't done the runs or worked hard, it's going to show there. And but that's the thing that came from what we said earlier on, is that everything at one point came from a place of fear. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. I think that burns you out emotionally as a kid. I think you reach a certain point or a certain age where you go, why am I doing this again?
Right.
Oh, sure, I win and you get a trophy and it's good and everything like that. And then the next bout of anxiety begins and starts. So, yeah, there's great things you take from it. It definitely gave me work ethic to be like, I don't need someone to motivate me to get my ass out of bed to go and train, because I know that if I get up, I go train, I work out, there's a reward to it. It's hard. Right. But there's something to come from it.
But I was going to say, your reward these days, I'm sure, for me, that's this thing. It's the cold plunge in the morning. 6:30 in the morning, if I'm up and it's still dark out and I get into this, the reward is the endorphins that come from it. But then it's not the endorphins is one thing. But the knowledge of being able to, in the back of my brain, realize that I've done my one hard thing.
Eat that frog.
It's done.
You ever read that book?
Yeah, yeah.
It's brilliant.
But now the rest of my day is easy, or easier. And I never had that. Like my booze journey was, I would drink until I would black out every single night for like 8 years. And
Kim will do that to you.
Yeah, and it was like a coping mechanism. My life was miserable. Like I thought that I was having a good time, but I was having a good time because I was wasted half of the time.
And just to clarify, I want to say Kim will do that to you. It's a small place where there's a culture of partying, and you can get where you need to be within like 2 minutes. There's so many bars, so
it's encouraged.
Right? I don't mean as in it's a bad place and you drink to remain here. I mean as in it's like it's party city if you want.
Right, but it's. I mean, I've heard this a few times, but it's like it's Peter Pan land. No one ever grows up here. And I'm like, and I think about it because I look at some of the people that are doing the jobs that they're important jobs, but I look at them and I go, you were miserable. You're 55, 60 years old. You haven't really amounted to anything. Sorry, that might sound rude. It's
Well,
not
no,
that you
here's
haven't
the thing,
amounted to
right?
anything.
Everyone's measure of success and happiness is different and context dependent.
Right.
I think we go through a stage where we think we need the car, we need the house, we need this, we need that. And I think the older I get now, the more I'm like, I need less.
Right.
I just like quiet chats. I like going to the movies, to watch a film, going home, relaxing.
Dinner at home.
Just doing everything like that. And I think we just go through phases and chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And one chapter of your life was what made you where you are now.
100%.
So you have to be thankful to a certain degree for it.
And if I didn't go through those stages, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I mean, I've talked about this before, but if I carried on drinking the way that I did, I wouldn't be here today. Like, I was suicidal. I was miserable with life, like to the point where if it had just all gone black and ended, I would have been totally fine with that.
What do you think the positive intention was behind the behavior, though? Because every behavior,
Right.
no matter how negative it appears, has a positive intention. It's like your brain's trying to protect you or mask or do something that
Right.
navigates you away from something else, whatever that may be. For some people, it's responsibility. For some people, it's overwhelm. There's different kind of variations of what that does. But if you can separate the person or the intention from the behavior, you begin to figure it out, if that makes sense.
So I think mine was for sure responsibility. I didn't want to be responsible for anything. And I knew that if I drank, I didn't have to be responsible for anything. Yet, this is now, you've sparked a thought in my brain, but so I was always surrounded, and I still am surrounded by older friends. Everyone that I surround myself with is most of the time 10 plus years my senior.
Myself included.
Right. But like, they're people that have been through wicked experiences and everything else. But I remember at one stage, everyone used to say to me, as the 10-year younger person, be like, "Oh, you're the adult," and I'd be like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, we're the ones that drink until 4 a.m. You're the one that drinks until 3, and then you wash the dishes and you go to bed, so that you don't have to think about it in the morning." So, like what you're saying now about why was I doing that? I think I was trying to get away from being the adult all the time.
It's interesting, like, not in so much Western society, in some kind of places, but in a lot of European places and South American, is they have like moments and trials and tribulations of like, you know, ceremonies where boys become men.
Right.
You know, there's those turning points.
Right.
You know, for Jewish, it's bar mitzvah. For, you know, certain tribes and things like that, they're made to go out in like the wilderness for like 3 days. And there's
one tribe that they have to, they wear, I think it's gloves and socks that are filled with fire ants. And they have to sit there for like 3 hours with these fire ants just destroying their hands. And then after that, then they become a man.
But that's the thing, it's, if you don't have that turning point, that moment of clarity, or that pivot point, or that exclamation mark of here's where your manhood begins,
right,
then you do stay in perpetual. I think for me, it was like joining the military.
Yeah, because you did that for 12 years?
Yeah, I was 17 when I joined and left at 29. Just under 12, like thereabouts, were my resettlement period. But I remember there was a Greek ferry disaster. This was 2000 or 2001.
Right.
We were on HMS Invincible, and we were in and around the Mediterranean. We got like a call at like 2 a.m, emergency kind of distress call. Basically, a Greek ferry had ran aground and like capsized, and like loads of people like died. And I remember we pulled up alongside it a few hours later on, and came up onto the upper deck. And I remember looking down and seeing like 25 body bags all across the deck, and it didn't seem real. But I remember that just being a point of like, the fuck, you know.
Right.
There's little moments like that that make you, oh yeah, I'm not a kid anymore, you know.
Yeah,
when you get you see, Bill.
Yeah, that's a kick in.
You're like, all right, at which point, is there any doctors on Ireland that will accept a kidney?
Yeah, right. Like well, I mean, this island's wild from that point of view. Like,
but we normalize the madness. Don't get me wrong; it's a great place to be, but it's crazy. Like we normalize the madness of like
groceries being $150 for half a bag. Yeah, that sort of thing upsets me.
No wonder we start drinking.
Yeah, but like these are some of the things that, I mean, this little island, I wouldn't trade this place in for the world.
No, me neither.
It's
given me so much. Like it's given me like an opportunity, and that I can never, repay.
I mean, so many wild people. You especially, I think. I mean, I've met some pretty interesting characters over the years, but I'm sure that you have a different clientele from me. My clientele, so for a long time, my clientele was like blue collar. And like those were the guys that I would serve all the time. Now, like where I am now, completely different tier. Like it's the guys that own the companies that the blue collar guys work for.
But I also think that's part of growing up as well, is that your vibe determines your tribe. When you decide that you're not doing something down here anymore and you decide to step up, then it's a natural law that you're going to gravitate towards different things and better. And there's so many intelligent, different, ambitious, and interesting people on the island.
Yeah.
That you can't help but learn in different things.
Right.
If you're not learning from people here, you're doing something wrong for sure.
Well, I mean, and the people that are here and not taking the opportunities are...
Yeah, but who did in the first couple of years here? Do you know what I mean? You kind of come here and you're either here to work or party. You can't do both.
Yeah.
Something gives eventually.
You know what? But you know what surprises me most is the people that stay here for 9 years and then leave on rollover and then come back. And I'm like, that's your perpetual cycle. But they're not doing anything different.
Yeah, but some people, like we say,
success... But that's okay.
Yeah, like we said at the start, success is different to everyone.
Right.
For some people, success is going to work, getting through the day, doing a good job, coming home to your family.
Right.
And, just being grateful for that. For some people, it's like, do you know what? I need to own a yacht. I need to make 10 million a year, whatever. Yeah. Here's the thing. Happiness is context dependent and relevant to the individual.
Right.
Like, you're probably happy getting up in the morning, going in your plunge pool, running around with the dogs, going to work, and just coming home.
Yeah.
But the very second, let's say, for instance, you decided to reach for something else, each level requires a new devil. So you've got to kind of like now up it and up it. And then you just have to ask yourself is that, how much am I willing to put in to get whatever it is that might be minimal to add to my happiness?
Right.
Do you know, is the juice worth the squeeze?
And is it going to add to your happiness? Like those are the things I think that I've grown up, especially now. So when I was working at a late night bar, I was just pissing away all of the money that I was making because I essentially was thinking that, I'm going to buy this thing, it's going to make me happier. And it would
it'll distract you.
Right. Make me happy for 30 seconds and then it was on to the next thing. Or I would buy that thing, it would make me super happy. And the very next day I'd go, I didn't have the money for that. What the fuck was I thinking? And then I would get like a completely different set of anxiety.
Well, that's the dopamine addiction. Dopamine always wants more dopamine.
Right. So...
And I think if you look at it and you used to say, all right, well, what would bring you more joy? A brand new, like, friggin', I don't know, Audi Quattro fucking sports car.
Right.
Or adopting a kitten from the Humane Society and seeing him play with, like, Pinky and Einstein.
Right. Oh, I mean, definitely be the cat.
But you don't have that perspective when you're younger because your brain's still trying to figure shit out.
Right.
And I think that too many people... Best way I could describe it, what I've been looking at recently, is that we're born with hardware as humans. Right. You want to feel love, you want to feel connection, you want to feel contribution, you want to have variety, all those kind of things.
Right.
But there's software we download from people, like from your parents, from your peers, from your coaches, from your friends, from society, from Instagram. All this software you're trying to make compatible with your hardware.
Right.
And you realize that after a little bit, that's the wrong things I'm downloading. And then you get older and you defrag your system. You're like, I don't need all of these apps to be doing this. It's like, I just need this
Right, you've like opened up all of your tabs.
Browser window.
Yeah, and then you
just close them.
Yeah, you look up and you go, fuck, that's a lot of stuff. Get rid of all of that, and then you're back to
and
this.
If you think about it, you've only got so much mental broadband every day that you can have. Like, if you've got so many browser tabs open,
right,
the main computer, like, runs slower. Do you know?
Well, so that was, I think that was, you know who said that to me, actually? Did you want some coffee?
I'm good for the moment.
Someone who said that to me once upon a time was our mutual friend, Army. When I stopped working where I was, he said, I bet you your bandwidth is so big now because I didn't have any of the bullshit to deal with in the back of my brain. I wasn't, like, I was leaving for work every day, terrified to go into work. This is a job that I've done for 9 years. I could do with my eyes closed. But for some reason, my confidence had just been like annihilated.
Oh, yeah, I've been through that, yeah.
And then the change going into something else, realizing that I'm not dumb and I can do this really well. It's given me, like, this new job has given me a sense of courage and accomplishment that I never thought that I would ever get. And the fact that, you know, people are like, oh, you're so lucky, like you work this 9 to 5 job.
I hate people saying lucky. It's like the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Right. I'm like, no, I worked my ass off so that I could get to this point. And then when I ask for certain things, I get those things because I've worked my ass off to get there. People go, oh yeah, it must be nice. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Sweat equity.
Yeah, it is nice. And it drives me crazy. For me, the one thing that has always driven me bananas is, so once again, you have some friends like I do, I'm sure, that are, let's say, have a net worth of $1 billion+. And people are like, oh, well, must be nice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it is. You know what else is nice for them is that they probably worked their asses off to get there. And people are always jealous of Jimmy Carr said this, actually. He said,
jealous of what they've got, but not jealous of the work they did to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a brilliant quote.
And I'm just like, this is every person that they go, oh, it must be nice to have, you know, this car. And I'm like, I mean, yeah. I bet you haven't seen the sleepless nights that they've gone through in order to afford that. Or maybe they've bought that car and they can't afford it. You don't know that. Yeah, there's plenty of people like that they're in mountains of debt, but they keep chasing that little dragon.
But, you know, without mentioning any names, there's obviously been some suicides on the island over the past kind of couple of years,
right,
from people that are in very good positions financially.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, why would they do it? It's like, it's a very good, you know, marker to say that having everything,
right,
makes you happy. But it doesn't. There's so much, like you say, mental bandwidth taken up by those responsibilities. I think there's a great quote, and it says that the things you own eventually end up owning you.
Yeah.
And it's never a truer word said, is that you feel that you start spinning one plate,
right,
and I'm going to do two. And all of a sudden, the energy it takes for you to keep running and spin the plates is great. Now, there's people that can do it.
Yeah.
There's people that just kind of like have that mentality and, you know.
But I think what you've just said as well is that they've like they've just downloaded that from everyone else, that it's like societal norm that is what they have to do, so they just keep doing it until maybe one day they have a heart attack and that resets them, or there's something drastic that happens that it just resets.
I think a good analogy, and I try to put this to people, is like, you know, when you said earlier on you don't want to tap. And there's a thing, you're like, I'm not going to tap, and then something will break, and you know what you'll say? Should have tapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you'll be like, oh fuck, I pushed my luck.
Right.
Instead of going, do you know what? Yep, tap. Show me how to not get in that position again, or how to escape it. But instead, you're like, oh, I'm going to keep pushing and keep pushing.
Well, something's got to give. I mean, like,
you either tap, snap, or you nap. To use the Jiu-Jitsu analogy.
I think that might be the title of this episode, is Tap, Snap, or Nap.
I love the fact that grappling, and I've been doing this more and more recently, like I can't roll like I used to. I've got 2 herniated discs in my neck, my arm's going numb now. You know, freaking, I can't sleep on my back, shit like that, because of just nerve damage. And for a while I was like, you know, I won't do it anymore. But you realize that there's far more to take from martial arts and grappling. And the thing I'm teaching recently is far more to do with, okay, what do you do under pressure? How do you operate under pressure? And like you said in the first part, when you operate under pressure, you're just like, no, I'm not going to give in, not going to give in. Rather than going, well, actually, if you give in, I'll show you what you do. But if you keep taking the pressure, I'm going to keep putting it on you.
Right.
And you'll get better and better. But you're also going to get hurt unless you say...
What was the guy's name? He was at the gym for a long time. Skinnier guy, black belt.
Ronnie Carroll?
No, used to roll all the time. He's an IT guy. He's a computer guy.
It doesn't narrow it down, to be honest with you. It's quite a lot of people.
Dane?
Dane? Yeah.
Is it Dane?
Yeah.
Machine.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that?
He was the epitome for me. Rolling with him was the epitome of, if you keep giving me pressure, I'm going to keep putting it on you. Mm-hmm. And he would just he would get me into positions, and then he'd be like, okay, so listen to me. And I'd be trying to fight, and he goes, stop, just listen. Mm-hmm. And he goes, now move your hand and do this and get under this and then pull here. And he goes, now, can you feel that? I'm like, yeah. He goes, now pull. And you'd pull. Mm-hmm. And it would just like a pretzel, just like everything would come up. And he goes, do you understand now? And I'm like, okay. And then he'd do the same thing again. And you'd get into that same position. He'd go, remember? Mm-hmm. And then he would put a little bit more pressure. And the more he would do that, the more that you would listen. And I think
pain's the best teacher, but no one wants to attend the lessons, as we say.
Yeah, but you put something up a couple of days ago about when I say you don't want to listen, but you put something up the other day, which I thought was a great idea, is all politicians should have a physical and do...
Took a lot of fucking flack for that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Jesus Christ.
Of course you did.
But I should, in fairness, I should have put it and worded it better. And just to kind of, before I forget, because I have ADHD, so I'll tell you it now before it gets lost in the void of my mind. What I was trying to say was that if you are someone in a high profile position, making big decisions that can have outcomes for other people, you should optimize yourself. In the military, if you're not passing your fitness test, mentally, physically, all that, you're not getting your promotion.
Right.
There's no way you're getting put in charge of like a platoon or a group of crew of people if you're not setting an example yourself. Right. They did a great study a few years back. I'll try and find the specific of it, but it was done in Mexico or somewhere like that, where they assessed the parole boards, and when they were giving people, let them out of prison early, or denying their parole. And based on these people that they did, it was in the afternoons, they made more poor decisions than anything. And then when they went further into the kind of investigation and the study, these people that were not taking care of their health, they were like obese and things like that, and they were making mistakes because if you're restricted blood flow to your brain or you're not eating the right foods and things like that, that little 1% overall can have a life-altering decision for someone else because you're just too tired and you want to just go home and get out of it. So all I was saying was, if you can make yourself optimal, fitter, healthier, stronger, more cognitive, I think you'll make better decisions for yourself and other people. But if you can't be trusted to do that, I think it should be examined of putting you in a position where you can have those things, like as outcomes,
Well, I mean, we won't go into it here, but let's put the United States into that realm. And I might take a lot of flack for this one. But whatever.
Disclaimer.
I don't really care. I don't really care. I'm also I'll put a disclaimer out here. I am not a Trump supporter. I am not a Kamala supporter. I am not a politician by any stretch. I'm
a common sense supporter.
I'm an advocate of good decision making. So when I look at someone like RFK Jr., who's coming in now, and the things that he's proposing, he hasn't done them all or done any of them really yet, but things that he's proposing of cleaning up the food services and getting rid of big pharma and this and that. And I'm like, yes. The United States and New Zealand are the only two places in the world that you're allowed to advertise for pharmaceuticals.
Jesus,
on TV.
I didn't know that.
So, I mean, you think about it for Super Bowl, for anything that you watch on TV now, every single ad is, oh, you might experience diarrhea and throwing up. And it's
but it's said really fast.
It's all pharmaceutical stuff. So it all goes back to like the politicians and everyone else. And of course, if Big Pharma is making, I mean, the Sackler family was worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And they are still at large, and they're promoting known drugs that are addictive and killing people. So for someone like RFK Jr. that's coming in and he's going, absolutely not, we're not testing vaccines on kids, or we're not going to be putting coloring and dyes in our foods anymore, or maybe we should get rid of, like, listen, something that's called rapeseed oil, you shouldn't be eating it. Like, none of these things are good for you. But
I honestly believe it starts, like, as an adult, you get to a certain point, and a few people will make changes and, you know, change the course of their lives, usually through some kind of catastrophic event or a warning shot across the board with a heart attack or whatever it is, caused by lifestyle. But for me, I think the politicians should just look at it and go, do you know what? Let's start with the next generation of, like, kids and be like, okay, let's bring them up healthily.
Right.
Let's teach them about mental health. Let's teach them about economics. Let's teach them about things they're going to use, rather than spending 2 to 3 hours a day doing stupid subjects that will remain unnamed. That's not going to help them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And that can be said for lots of different things.
Listen,
if you teach a kid to eat well, move a lot, understand their emotions, be a good citizen and care for people around them, you will solve most problems. Look in Japan, their education system doesn't even start subject matters until they're like, 7, 8 years old. Right. Because all they teach them first is how to be a contributing member of society.
How to pick up trash.
How to pick up trash, how to cook, how to clean, how to do things.
How to get onto an escalator and move to the left-hand side so that the people that are in a rush can walk past you. Like, these are things that in our society, no one knows. I mean, but the first people that blame, or like the United States is a prime example of this, but like they are the prime example of, they don't want someone to fix their food, yet if they have a heart attack because McDonald's fed them this, they're the first ones to go and sue McDonald's.
Yeah, of course.
It's not McDonald's fault.
That's the victim mentality though, isn't it?
Right. So everyone's up in arms about Trump or this or that and whatever, and I'm like, you guys put him there. And maybe not all of you, which is fine, but if Kamala had been put in, there would have been a whole nother section of people that would have been upset. And all of them are
complicit.
Well, they're complicit, but like I wrote about this the other day. When did it become accepted or not okay to have an opinion? Like, you can have an opinion. If you say to me, Todd, this cup is black, and I go, well, actually, Ronnie, it's not. And I go, it's orange. And you go, well, I disagree with you. But we could still sit here and have a conversation.
And then go make eye doctor's appointments.
Right. But like...
And then wonder what's been put in the coffee.
Right. But like, these are the things that I just go, nowadays though, you can't do that. You used to be able to live next door to someone that supported a different political party and still have a beer with them. Have a barbecue. Now, it's like, nope, they're this person, they're that person. Like, you get labeled as a villain if you are on the opposing team, which is...
Well, it's a very... The internet has created tribalism. Well, there's tribalism before, but that would be in small communities. Like, you weren't meant to live in a village in, like, the north of England.
Right.
Of around 10,000 people, and then know what's going on in, like, Siberia with Russian silo, nuclear weapons, things like that. That would be something you hear about now and again.
Right.
But the fact of having phones now gives you so much information that you get that told. And when you don't have a point of reference or a comparison or someone of authority to turn around and say, no, actually, it's not that.
Right.
All of a sudden, you're like, well, yeah, this is the way it is.
Well, and your algorithm keeps feeding you the same stuff that you want to see. So all that you're getting is that news and that information. And I think the hardest thing for me watching now is like my parents' generation and the older generation, I actually think are getting hit way harder than the younger generation from a social media standpoint, because they don't understand how to communicate and what's real and what's not, and how to filter it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because
they come from a generation that, like you say, you get a newspaper delivered, and that was your news. You didn't get to see what was happening on East End, because this was what...
We're creating like paralysis to analysis. It's like there's so much information. I just need, like as humans, we need certainty. We need variety. You know, there's those kind of, you know, the duality of being human is you want certainty, you want variety.
Right.
You need those things to operate as a human being. And when someone can say to you, yeah, it's this, and you can dress it up in some marketed way, and that's why people will jump on. If your leg's hurt, and take this pill. Right. This is because this person, you know, it's what sponsorship does. Yeah. You get an athlete to say, all right, wear these shoes, they'll make you run faster. And Usain Bolt, kids are going to go and buy that. So people are so influenced by what they see, and you can pick it up, and you've got direct access to everything and anything, which is a scary concept.
Well, so I was going to say, so you've replaced the neighborhood drug addict with a phone, because now you're just getting your fix through your phone, which is wild, because you can sit on your phone.
It's dopamine. It's junk. It's like digital junk food.
But it's dopamine, but it's also, for me, so I don't know if you know this, but I write these little blogs every week.
Yeah, I read them, yeah.
And I love doing it because it gets the shit off of my brain as well.
It's like journaling.
Yeah. And if people want to read them, they can read them. If they don't want to read them, that's okay. I don't write them for people. I write them for me. But the amount of people that come back and they go, man, thank you. Like, I needed this. But one of the things, and Jo actually, she influenced me about this, but I mean, I won't mention the news service, but you and I know who we're talking about on this little island. And I said to her, I was like, it just makes me so angry and so sad every day, where there's just this, everyone's pitted against each other instead of just being kind, being nice, just being human beings to each other, because you would never say half of the things to someone's face that you would behind a keyboard.
It's car crash TV. Listen, if someone stood by the side of the road selling flowers, you look, but you're like,
Right.
But if there's a car crash, you stop, you slow down. And that's what people want to see, because having drama in your life when you don't have much going on in it gives you, it elicits a state of emotion.
Right.
And people that are not feeling things or have got nothing going on in their lives, and it's just like mundane and Groundhog Day, all of a sudden something pops up. Yep, I'm going to jump on that. It's easy for me to like just now go, yeah, fuck this, fuck that, you know.
Right. So you're bored.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so she just said to me, she goes, then just stop watching it.
Yep.
And I was like, duh. Of course, dummy. Like, I mean, the fact that I couldn't come up with that on my own made me feel a little bit stupid, number one.
But you don't know what you don't know. There's 4 stages of learning anything. Number 1, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Number 2, you know what you know.
Right.
It's a limited amount. Number 3, you know the things you don't know and need to catch up on.
Right.
All right, so you know your weaknesses. And then the last one is you don't know what you know. In other words, you're running autonomous. Like when you first start driving.
Right.
When you start driving, you're like rigid and kind of like fucking looking at everything. 5 years later on, you're driving with your elbows, eating food, leaning out your window, and you're doing all these things autonomously, right?
Right.
Because you've learned it.
Right.
So if all you've learned from other people is how to hate and how to criticize and how to, you know, do that crabs in the bucket mentality.
Right.
Why would you expect anything different?
Well, so I think that was kind of to my point, is that I've gotten to this point that I can't read anything on the news because it makes me sad. It makes me sad for humanity. It makes me sad for the people that I know are friends and that are commenting or being mean to other people. I'm like, you're not that person. Like, I see people that I've known for a long time, and they comment or they say something rude or mean, or like last night I was scrolling through my feed and one of my friends commented on some page that it was like the I Love Cayman page. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends commented on it. And I was just like, you dirtbag. Like, you're the problem. First of all, you don't live here. You have no business making that comment. And like, how dare you try and squash someone's happiness by just some shitty little comment?
Does that not say more about them than it does about whoever they're criticizing?
It does, but I think that, and it probably shouldn't upset me as much or infuriate me.
You got a drink of water, one second.
Oh, yeah.
Carry on, still listening.
It shouldn't upset me as much.
Why shouldn't it though, do you think? Like, why do you why do you feel the need to, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Put down your emotions and why you feel something. You feel something because it's a certain way, right?
Right. I think it's more because...
So don't try to invalidate how you feel. There's
a
reason why you feel it.
Right. So I don't know if it's not necessarily that I'm trying to like squash my emotion. I think it's more a case of that, like, I'm trying to squash that emotion because it makes me feel angry from the point of view that then it ruins the rest of my day to a certain degree. So I see something like that, and if I react to it, it goes throughout my entire day. So like, if I had responded to this person's comment and I'd been like, you piece of shit, like, you shouldn't have said that. And then I've engaged. And the moment that I've engaged, now I've really engaged my emotion.
Yeah.
Which then will spiral me and really upset me for the rest of the day. So I think over the years I've realized that not engaging doesn't accentuate my emotional state, which brings me back down to like a nice placebo calm effect. If I engage, I get really mad, and then it wrecks me for the rest of the day, if not another couple of days, and I'm thinking about it and I overthink it, and then, but nothing's happened.
So let's use a jiu-jitsu analogy.
Right.
Is there people you used to really enjoy rolling with?
Yeah.
And is there people you didn't like rolling with?
Yeah.
But you would still roll with the people you didn't like rolling with, right?
Right.
Why did you do that? Did you think it was going to make you better?
No, I think it was because I thought that maybe one day I'd be able to tap them.
So was you working from your ego, or were you working
ego?
From...
For sure, from my ego.
So same thing is that, I call it the chasing, it's like a dog chasing cars.
Right.
You ever see dogs? They chase cars down the street.
Yeah, never going to catch them.
Well, here's the thing.
Right.
What the fuck is a dog going to do with a car if it catches it?
Right.
And it's the same thing. Even if you manage to kind of like prove a point or whatever, you're not going to change how that person thinks or believes.
Right.
Same way if you're training with someone, then their only thing they want to do to you is hurt you.
Right.
No matter how much you roll with them, the only way you're going to stop them hurting them is by, hurting you, is by hurting them, because that's all they understand.
Right.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
It's like, you're only hurting yourself by trying to control the thoughts and outcomes of other people. It's impossible. It's like, the only thing you're in control of is how you respond.
Well, so that's why I say that's 5 years ago when I was still in my drinking phase, I 1000% would have engaged with that. And I would have forgotten about it.
But you got tired, right?
Right.
So you got tired, you got pissed off, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result.
Right.
Imagine rolling with the same person and you're trying to catch him with the same move over and over again.
Yeah.
What do you think their defense is going to do?
They'll get better.
Gets better at it. And guess what? You're still so focused on that one fucking move and that one thing. And in the meantime, the ones that evolve are the ones who go, yeah, I know what you're doing, I'm just going to...
Right.
So imagine now someone's attacking you with the same move.
Right.
You get better at defending, right?
Right.
And then at the same time defending, you now get better at what's my counter. Do you see how...
yeah.
Do you see how the ego can kind of like, whether it's grappling with someone on a jiu-jitsu mat,
right,
or grappling with a person in an argument, the same principles still apply.
Right.
If I use so much energy trying to fight this,
right,
I'm going to be exhausted.
Right.
And then I'm going to tap because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just like, I know where I'm at, I'm in a good position, or a decent position, I'm not going to let them advance any further. Now, it's on, the onus and the obligation is on them.
Right.
Because you're like, yeah, I'm good. What are you going to do?
Well, so that's, I mean, I think that you've nailed, for me, that's, when Jo said that to me, she's like, stop watching the news. That was her literally saying, stop trying the same move and expecting different results.
Yeah. Don't roll with that person if you know all they're going to do is try and fuck you up.
Right, which the news services, all that they're trying to do is to rile you up. So you're trying to engage with them. They know what they're doing.
Of course they do.
But it's all dependent on how you're reacting to it. And for me, getting rid of that was, and this was only like, I don't know, a month ago? Maybe 2 months ago?
Yeah.
It's like I have a whole new life. I shit you not, like it doesn't come up on my feed anymore. If someone says something to me about the news, I'm like, don't care. It doesn't affect me. And so one of the things that I wrote about was, if it doesn't affect you, it shouldn't concern you.
Yeah.
Which, in a lot of aspects, now, you do a lot of work with like the crisis center and all of that sort of thing. I don't, and when I say if it doesn't affect you, it shouldn't concern you, things like the war in the Ukraine, it doesn't affect me, so it shouldn't concern me. Now, having said that, there are parts of that do concern or do affect me. Gas prices, oil prices, everything else. Yeah. However, are you willing to do something about it? If you're not,
it's not a problem until it's a problem, right?
Right. Shouldn't concern you if you're not willing to do anything about it. If you want to fix your life, or you want to fix the thing that is, like for me, the news that's making me upset and angry, if I'm not willing to fix it, then why am I complaining about it? And
well, I think that learned helplessness from a lot of people is something that is rife. It's, if I complain about it, it makes me feel a little bit better. And if I can find someone else that agrees with me, it makes me feel better still.
Right.
And now that little seed of kind of negativity just grows. Negativity and positivity are an emotion.
Right.
Think about it, like negative, positive, they still elicit an emotion, make you feel something, right?
Right.
So that people want to feel things. They want to feel that they've got that certainty of, I say this, you agree with me, great. Now I've like got two people. Now let's go on the internet. Let's fucking...
Right. But much like for a slightly different analogy, just like a battery and a flashlight or anything like that, you need a negative and a positive in order to work.
Sure.
Two negatives don't work.
Well, yeah, you need the push and the pull. Yin and yang. There's darkness in the light and there's lightness in the dark.
So you keep doing this whole negative, 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 and it's just going to grow and grow and grow, and eventually it's not going to work anymore. Like I've seen it in work environments and everything else. The negative seeds are the ones that eventually just get pushed out because they get seen as, you don't want to be around those people. But the positive people are the ones that bring everyone up. But there's still a negative energy that needs, like you said, the yin and the yang.
There has to be a push and a pull.
Right.
And that's where we go back to what we said earlier on is, when we were younger, the pull was the enjoyment of the game. Or the training or the environment. And that's what kind of compelled you.
Right.
And when you're compelled to do something, like if you know if you run 100 kilometers and there's $1 million at the end of it, you're going to run.
Right.
But if someone says to you, run 100 kilometers, or I'm going to fucking stab you or something like that, you'll run for a certain point to get away from it, and then you've got to take a breather.
Right.
Because you're being propelled.
Right.
Being in pain and fear only takes you so far. And a good example of this is, look at people when they decide they're going to lose weight.
Right.
They start off like, I'm doing it because I feel like shit, I'm tired, I'm overweight, you know, I look fat in a picture, whatever it is. All of a sudden they're like, yeah, I don't want to feel this anymore.
Right.
And they'll just do anything. And then move away from that pain.
Right.
Yeah, and they get the little bit of pleasure and things. But they move away from the pain to the point, okay, well, there's nothing pleasurable about this anymore.
Right.
And so old habits creep back in, you revert back to normal. But if someone turns around and says to you, I'll give you $1 million if you do this, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, this is going to make all of this pain worth it. But if you don't have an end goal or an outcome, you're just going to stay where you're at. And that's the only two things we're motivated by is pain and pleasure. You're either moving away from pain,
or moving towards pleasure.
Or moving towards pleasure. It's that pendulum between. And when you can have the balance between, all right, I'm going to go for a workout this morning, 45 minutes. I'm going to run 3K and then lift weights. It's going to suck, but it's credit in the bank for me feeling better later on. But if all you turn around and do is, right, I'm going to get up, I'm going to drink fucking 3 vodkas and have like a cake, you'll feel good for a short period of time. And you feel shit. It's just the laws of the universe. And people try to outsmart. You can't outsmart nature.
Well, I was going to say,
Nature's smarter than you ever will be.
You try and bend the laws of physics when it comes to that. And exactly what you just said. I can go and work out for 45 minutes. It's going to suck. Mm-hmm. Or you could eat a cake in 3 minutes and it'll make you feel good for 45 minutes. But then the rest of your day, you're going to feel like trash.
Not even that, like 10 minutes.
But let's say even 45 and you go, great, I feel great for 45 minutes. Then you get a sugar crash and you feel like garbage the rest of the day. Whereas you trade in 45 minutes of feeling and not even terrible. Because at the end of that,
you feel a little bit of discomfort.
Yeah, but you feel amazing. And I think you're probably a good advocate for something like this, but because of jiu-jitsu and all of the martial arts and your background that it's come from, is that you can't be the hero right away. So start off small. If you're feeling like you want to lose a bit of weight or get in shape or anything like that, don't work out as hard as you can for an hour and then the next day you're stiff and you can't move, because now you've worked into pain and you don't want to be there anymore. So in order to get away from that pain, you don't do anything for 3 days. Whereas there was a cool thing, this guy said, you and me, we're doing a pull-up challenge. Mm-hmm. You do 50 in a day, and I do 10. But I do them 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. You do it once, because the rest of the week you can't move. Yep. At the end of a year, who's done more reps?
Yeah, it's the compound effect, like Warren Buffett.
Right.
He said a great one. No one wants to get rich slowly.
Right. But it'll happen. Mm-hmm. So you just compound your workouts, you compound everything that goes along with it, and you'll slowly start to feel better, but you'll look, and you don't look back on, I don't know. I've been doing the cold plunges for over a year now, which is bananas to me. Mm-hmm. But look at what it's brought me. When this was first here, actually this wasn't even here, none of this was here. It was in the bathtub. I was doing it in the bathtub. Yeah. And day one that started, and for some reason something clicked and I went, great. This whole backyard was all gravel. Now we have the yard, we've got the plants, we've got the shade, we've got the deck, we've got the mango tree, like everything is coming together. It was that one step of putting ice in a bathtub that didn't seal. I had my heel on the plug because we didn't have a plug, so that I could hold the cold water in there. Like that was literally where it started. And then
small beginnings, man.
Right. And then the garden club happened, and I just went, you guys irritated me, so it motivated me more to be like, I want this at my house. So I Frankensteined all of these things. Like I got a quote to build this deck, and it was $8,000. And I went, great. So I went out, bought all of the tools, bought the lumber, and built it myself. Yep. And I went, now I've got the tools, the skills. But a year ago, if you had said to me, Todd, you're going to have a cold plunge in your backyard, a beautiful deck, beautiful yard, you're going to have all of these amazing things, I would have been like, no, that costs money. I can't afford that. And
that's a good example of when you have a vision, but you think it's this entirety. It's like, it's the whole, how do you eat an elephant? Right. One bite at a time. Right. But when you think, it's got all the way done, there's a sense of overwhelm. Your brain just goes, no. Yeah. This is where I think a lot of people get it wrong when it comes to training and fitness. Right. I started training as a kid because I loved being with my grandfather. Right. Do you know what I mean? Going to the boxing club. Yeah, yeah. It was the environment and the process, which was, or the experience was fun. Right. So you kept going back. And in the meantime, unconsciously, you're getting fitter, you're doing push-ups and everything like that, and you're trying to join in. You have to find what works for you. Right. It's not always going to be fun, for sure, but the outcomes can be. Right. Like if you go and play pickleball, it's a great experience. Right. And you'll get a little bit fitter. Right. Probably if your first day you go do jiu-jitsu and in the right environment, you get smashed, it's not a good experience. Right. And you'll be hurting. Right. So would you want to come back? Probably not. No. And that's the thing, is that you've created somewhere where you want to be. Right. And if you can do that, whether it's with your job, right, your passions, your hobbies, your workouts, your relationships, all those things, if you can enjoy the process rather than just the outcomes. Right. Because the outcomes come from the processes. Right. If you're having a shit process, guess what's going to happen? Well, I mean, my dad always said that, right? Focus on the next step and not the whole staircase, and those are the things. What was it? There's one Will Smith said about like building the perfect brick wall. Yeah. Like you don't set out to build a perfect brick wall. You lay one brick perfectly every day. That's it. And then it just,
I mean,
but there's also the comparison thing you said earlier on. Like if you look on social media and you're not looking like friggin', I don't know, the Instagram male or female models, then, you know,
you're not okay.
Yeah, you're full of shit. And then when you realize the amount of drugs and like lighting and starvation and diets these people do just for that.
But also the bullshit that's behind it.
Oh, 100%.
The people that they're like, so I don't know if you've seen that new viral.
Oh, the guy that with the sparkling
mouth
water.
tape and the sparkling water. So I actually did a funny one the other day. I went and grabbed a LaCroix and I cracked it and poured it in here. And I was like, oh, there you go. Fucking full body. Which it's funny because I look at people like that and I go, you want to talk about not sustainable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
you should focus more on a routine that allows flexibility for when you have to travel, when you have to do this. It's like, because if all you know is that one thing and things go wrong, you don't have that, what does that do to your psyche? So it's far important to be adaptable than it is to be perfection.
Yeah. Well, so when we went to Vegas last year, I had become reliant on this thing. Mm. So for like my morning jazz. And then when we went to Vegas, I got a wicked deal on a suite at the Rio. So it was like this 3-bedroom suite, but it had a hot tub in it that was probably the size of this deck. And I remember I said to Joe, we had just gone shopping at TJ Maxx and we had these big TJ Maxx bags. And I was like, going to the ice machine. She goes, where? I'm like, there's one on our floor. I went and filled up all of these TJ Maxx bags, put it in the hot tub, turned the jets on. And it was the first time ever that I got into a cold plunge naked. Mm. Oh.
Yeah, quickest non-surgical temporary sex change you'll ever have. I think I need to leave like a little bit of tea and biscuits out to invite it back out this morning, to be honest with you.
My dad always used to say, get the pepper in a tweezers. And I was like, why didn't you go so you shake the pepper on it, it sneezes, and you can grab it with the tweezers?
Jesus.
But like, that was a moment, if you ever want to have a funny look at your own anatomy, get into a cold plunge naked and just watch everything disappear. It's pretty hilarious.
Dude, I've done, I did Arctic training years ago in a place called Hemstad in Norway. We did I was there for like 2 days and jumped into like freezing cold water.
Yeah.
I literally got out feeling like I was a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
no
inverted.
offense to anyone like or women or anything like that. It's just,
it's inverted.
You get the picture.
Yeah.
Not that picture, but you know. So, but I think honestly, like, away from everything, like you said, your backstory, I think you should be extremely proud of, number one, where you are in regards to your mentality now and where that will take you for the future.
Right.
And if you look around now, your external environment is a true reflection of your internal environment. So you've put things in place that, you know what? Yeah, sure, you can wake up in the morning and go across to Lone Star and have a beer or whatever. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore, yeah.
You'll find a way anyway.
Yeah.
But now you're like, do you know what, I'm going to do the hard thing first.
Right.
And I'm going to get a reward from it. And that's just a universal way of life. And I wish that, you know, hopefully when people see your podcast or when people read your blogs and things like that, that they take away from it. Like, here's a guy that went through some shit.
Right.
And like realized it, had an epiphany moment of like, do you know what? Easy life now leads to a hard life later.
Right.
Hard choices now, easy life later.
Right.
And not to the point where your life is based on just putting yourself through shit, because there's going to be a negative kind of connotation to that at some point. You can't be David Goggins like and expect to be, by the time he's like 60, his joints, everything will be, you know, there's that level of like absurdity to a certain degree.
Right.
I like David Goggins, don't get me wrong. I think he's a fucking one of a kind.
Right.
But like being told, and this is what the internet's good at. The internet's very good at telling you, you're not enough, you're not good enough. But here's, do you know what? If you pay me, I'll show you the way.
Right.
And it's like, do you know what? There is no perfect way. You've got to do the detective work. You've got to figure out what works for you. And that's your journey in itself. And if it's not your priority, if your health is not your priority now, it will be made your priority later on.
Well, I mean, that's why I love talking to people that I see as more successful than me. So people like you.
But what is success though?
But this is my thing, is that I go, people that are more successful than me. And then it's really interesting because then I have people that go, but look at what you have. And I go, I'm extremely lucky. And it sometimes takes other people coming in to tell me that I am enough. Mm-hmm. You are enough.
Exactly.
And everyone else is enough. But everyone else is also, you shouldn't be so focused on what everyone else is doing, because trust me, everyone else is focused on themselves.
No one gives a fuck what you're doing.
They don't care.
No one gives
They
an
are
absolute
so
shit at all.
absorbed in their own problems and issues that they don't need you barking down their fucking throats saying you're not enough.
Yeah.
Because
And here's the thing, no one gives a fuck what you're doing. And there's a great quote. It says, the people that mind don't matter.
Right.
And the people that matter don't mind.
Right.
You've just got to live your one little crazy life and do the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for having me today.
I was going to say, you probably need to go. It's
I do need
almost
to.
noon.
Yep,
You've got a meeting with Marcus.
Yeah, so that'll be fun as well. Thank you, brother.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
We'll be back. I don't know if I'll do the plunge pool again, though. Jesus
No,
Christ.
yeah, you will.
I had a sex change.